la pleine régime et bienvenue à cette explanation vidéo de l'élection présidentielle française 2017. Oui. Everyone seems certain that after Trump and Brexit, the next great battleground for international liberalism will be that of the French presidential election of 2017. Everything is kind of difficult to understand though, not least because it all seems to be conducted in this language called French, that I am still convinced that they only speak in order to spite the tourists. Never fear, I am here to explique. I've got a B in A-level French, so I'm well placed to introduce you to the 5 front-running candidates in this year's presidential election. They recently had a big debate with one another. It was all incredibly interesting. It was 3 bloody hours long, promoted by this poster that kind of makes it look like they're all members of the cast of the next Marvel movie, but more black and sinister. The first round of voting is on the 23rd of April, then the 2 frontrunners go through to a head-to-head on the 9th of May. So here is your lovely guide to who's running, what they're like, and their chances of winning. Not many of them have a chance of winning. First up, we have Jean-Luc Mélenchon. That's Jean-Luc Mélenchon. You're welcome. He's so far left that it's painful for absolutely everybody involved. He's backed by the French Communist Party and wants France to leave the shackles of a lot of European treaties. He's basically like a Francais Jeremy Corbyn or Bernie Sanders. Unfortunately, he's hovering at about 12% on the opinion poll, so his chances of getting through to the second round are pretty slim. He did, however, interestingly, decide to launch his campaign to be president of France as a hologram, which was... I give him a chance of winning of pas du tout. Next up we have Benoît Hamon, who is picking up the baton for the socialists after the awkwardly unpopular current president François Hollande decided to be the first person to not run for a second term in French history. Maybe somebody else who is the president of a presidential democracy might want to take note. It's not going to happen, is it? His flagship policy is that of universal basic income, which at least is incredibly interesting. He, however, has no chance of getting through to the second round, not least because he is the only candidate to have decided to incorporate a hashtag into his logo. Honey, no. I'm gonna give him a chance of winning of Comme les garçons. Do you like these ratings? Very good. Interestingly, Benoît Hamon and Mélenchon are both on about 12% on national polling and want to both create something that they're describing as a 6th republic. But because they're both on the left and both eating into each other's votes, they're never going to get through to the second round. So, I mean, let's just admit that the left in this election, I mean, you're buggered. You're buggered. Next up, we have François Fillon, who is the centre-right candidate for Le Républicain Party. He has a Welsh wife, so I'm assuming that he is used to being called François Fillon. Oh, I never said my accents were good. His wife, Penelope, is actually pretty important because François was a shoo-in to win this election until we found out that while he was Prime Minister, he paid her €1 million to be his assistant. I mean, $1 million for an assistant is quite a lot. I mean, it sounds like it to me anyway. But then we also found out, like, oh, Penelope, she admitted that I've never been his assistant. Which is awkward. Not least because I've actually heard her speak and she doesn't have a Welsh accent. I'm just really enjoying the accents.
I've never been actually his assistant or anything like that.
Because of this wonderfully classic cock-up of French political corruption, we're going to give him a chance of winning a boule de suif. Ooh. So here's the one that you've actually heard of, Marine Le Pen of the Front National Party. Marine is as terrifying as she appears competent. She was by far the most composed at the last debate. She's getting about a quarter in national polling, and she might end up being France's first lady president. Yay! Since becoming leader of her party in 2011, she's done her best to distance herself from its xenophobic, anti-Jewish, anti-European past by rebranding it into more of a xenophobic, anti-Muslim, anti-European party. You see, it's really different now. She wants to hold a referendum on France's membership of the European Union, restrict especially Muslim immigration because of security concerns, and she wants France to have a closer relationship with Vladimir Putin's Russia. Remind you of anybody? Le Pen will probably get through to the second round of the election, the 1v1 segment, so I'm giving her a chance of winning of la vache. The one man standing between her and the presidency, it seems, is this guy, Emmanuel Macron. Macron is an old member of the Socialist Party, but left to found his own movement En Marche, which is pretty centre ground, kind of boring to be completely honest. He's not the best debater either, which apparently is something that French people quite like. Polling suggests that Macron would win in a one-on-one runoff against Le Pen, but despite his Justin Trudeau good looks, he kind of stands for everything that global populist movements have stood against in recent years. He was an appointed civil servant and has never held elected office before. He's a former investment banker. He went to Sciences Po, which is like the French version of Oxbridge or Harvard. He's described as in the pocket of big business and that his presidency won't change a thing. And also, side note, he married his old teacher from school, who's 20 years older than him. And the French people don't seem to care about this, and maybe we shouldn't either. But it is odd. Macron is basically our last hope in defending against the onslaught of populism across the Western democratic world. He's the last thing standing between us and a Le Pen presidency, and a Le Pen presidency really would change the world. Like, it's scary. The thing is, though, people are only excited about Macron because he isn't Le Pen. And in the past, that hasn't been enough. Not for the Remain vote in the UK, not for Hillary Clinton. Is that enough for us to rely on? What's your impression of the French elections? Has this video helped? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoy talking about politics, then check out my podcast, The Right Dishonourable. C'est très bon, j'aime beaucoup, baguette, piscine, bœuf. Subscribe with the subscribe orb. Ooh, it's Orby. Or you can watch this video, which YouTube has specifically selected because they thought you'd like it. So blame them, not me. Right. I'll wait while you subscribe and do that then. This is always very awkward.